Hello and welcome to the Kristy the Career Booster podcast. This podcast is for women who are unhappy in their job and who want to find their dream career or business. And today I'm speaking to Sarah Purins about how she left her corporate job and started her own business. Sarah is a life and mindset coach for moms who are ready to maximize their success and growing their self-worth and net worth while raising a beautiful family. Hello, Sarah, and welcome.
Hello, thanks so much for having me, Kristy.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So nice to be connected like this.
So good to see you. I know.
Can you maybe just tell a little bit about yourself and what you do in your business?
Sure. So my name is Sarah and I am a life and mindset coach for mums. I love helping mums build unshakable confidence, work through their feelings of mum guilt and self-doubt, and take back control of their time so that they can experience new levels of success across motherhood, business, and life.
Oh, that's really beautiful and very necessary in this day and age.
Totally.
So I'm going to just introduce myself to your followers who are watching. So I am a career coach and I help ambitious women who are currently feeling stuck in their job. They know that they're made for more. They know that they want to do something else, but they just, they don't know what. They don't know what else to do and they don't dare to get out of their comfort zone. So on the one hand, I help them figure out what they really want. And on the other hand, I help them get out their comfort zone and achieve the goals and dreams. So despite the fears and the doubts and the limiting beliefs, to really get them to, because it's on the one hand, it's great if you know what you want, but if you don't know how to get there and move past all those yucky feelings, then sometimes it can, you can really feel stuck. And I have an incredible tool that I use. It's called the Talent Scan. And this helps people find out what the natural talents are, what they're actually really good at, but also what's really amazing is what skills they have that I didn't know they had, what natural talents and strengths they have that, it's just all new to them, which is great because it opens up, so many new doors for them in their career. And then also, what gives them energy and what drains their energy. So, that's my introduction. So really excited to get going and find out all about your story. So I'm just really curious why your corporate job was making you feel unfulfilled.
So, all right. So I'm just going to backtrack a little bit just so there's some context. So I started working for a company that was one of the biggest retailers in Australia when I was like 15 years old. So this was just meant to be a job in school, just to get me through, a little casual thing, and then through university as well. So I studied a Bachelor of Psychological Science when I left school because I knew that I wanted to help people. And I thought the way to do that was to be a psychologist. So I continued working at this retailer in the stores behind the checkouts and then doing their like refit program, new stores, things like that. And then I met my now husband there as well. And we got the opportunity to move into state to then work for this retailer in their national office. So my husband was like offered that job first. It was incredible. We made the big shift. And then I decided to study my master's. So I did a master's of counseling because, again, going down that trajectory of I want to help people, like this is just makes logical sense. I'll keep working for this company while I do that. Then I got the opportunity to then go into the national office as well. And that's when the corporate career kind of started. And I was like, okay, well, this is really good money. It's really secure. It's really responsible. Like I feel like such an adult. Like this is good. I'm doing my studying on the side, but the
Sounds
whole time
familiar.
thinking like, I'm like, let's go. This is what's happening. So then I graduated with my master's, but to do that, I had to do all these placement hours, like 250 contact hours with clients. And I just found that I didn't love the work. It was very draining, quite heavy and really negative. And so I was like, oh, like I thought this is what I wanted. I thought I wanted to help people, like, but this isn't for me. So I'm just going to focus on the corporate stuff. I was working in HR. I was like, that's the people function. I'm doing what I'm meant to do. This is fine. And to be honest with you, I kind of was just like on the hamster wheel. I was just not really thinking about being fulfilled, being happy in my job. I was just doing the thing until COVID hit. And then like everything came to a screeching halt. We were suddenly at home. We weren't in the office. And it's almost like I got off that hamster wheel and I was like, do I want to be living in a hamster box? Like, am I a hamster? Like, what is this life?
Interesting, yeah.
Everything changed. Yeah. I was like, maybe there's more to life than just commuting, being at a desk until like 6 p.m., getting home late, and then like saying hello to your partner and then going to sleep. Like, COVID really was that circuit breaker for me to be like, maybe there is a different way. And so then I started like doing a bit of inner work. I started getting into meditation. And through that, you know, once you start having that like inner dialogue, you can start to think clearly. And I thought, okay, I know that I don't want to do this job anymore, but what do I want to do? And I remembered in my corporate role, one lunchtime, they had a life coach come and speak to us. And she's an amazing woman. Her name is Lucy Allen. She's incredible. And at the time, listening to her, I was like, this girl is amazing. Her job is incredible. Like, that would be so cool. And then my mindset went, but I could never do that. And so I kind of just buried it down, right? And then when COVID happened and I started having these, you know, thoughts and trying to discover what I wanted, I remembered that life coaching experience. And I thought, I wonder if that's what I should do, because it's helping people, but it's in a different vibration. It's more positive. It's more goal focused. Like, maybe that's what I should do. So I actually reached out to Lucy and I said, how did you become a life coach? How did you do it? And she's the one who said, oh, I trained at the Beautiful You Coaching Academy. That's an option. So I trained with them, and that's how I met you, Kristy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then from there, I was like, okay, I knew that I wanted to be a life coach. I also fell pregnant at like towards the end of 2020, mid 2020.
Me too. We're at the same time.
That's right.
Yeah,
we're very
so
close.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of this collision of like knowing that I wanted to go down a different path, also going to become a mother for the first time, that everything started to change. So I went on maternity leave from my corporate job. I graduated from the life coaching course, and then I birthed my daughter 2 weeks later. So that was a lot.
I think my story is very similar to yours. I'll just very quickly say my story. I was also a corporate job, really not being happy, really knowing there must be something more to life than this. And then the opportunity came along to be an air hostess, which was so amazing for me because for the first time in my life, I was actually really enjoying a job. I had so much free time. And then COVID hit, and then there were pretty much no flights. I was sitting at home a lot. And then I also started to really think and go on that personal development journey and start following life coaches and follow trainings. And then I was also like, I want to become a coach. It just all made perfect sense, because already I loved all the personal development and always reading those kind of books and spiritual books and those kind of things. And I loved giving trainings to people, but it's all like these puzzle pieces. But I didn't know that a life coach even existed. I didn't even know that was a job. But when I found out about it, I was like, but now like all the puzzle pieces, like all my passions, all my things that I really enjoy doing, that actually all comes together, you know, also even like presenting or something like this, you know, it like all came together in a role, like a job function. So I was like, wow, this is so amazing. And then I also started Googling for schools, and then I came across the Beautiful You life coaching school.
Yeah, so cool.
So then how did you decide to actually really, quit your job? Because I mean, that must have been a very scary step, thinking about finances, thinking about security, your status, your paycheck, your surroundings, your parents, your friends thing. There's a lot of, I mean, it's a big thing to just quit your job for something, for the unknown, really.
Yeah, it was scary. And so being on maternity leave, I really utilized that time to like build the business, to launch it and get it into the world and make it real. But my husband and I had been in like living away from our family for like 7 years at that point. Now we had a daughter and we have amazing families, and the plan was always to get back to our families kind of when it made sense. But we were still living in COVID times, borders were still closed. We weren't able to move back as soon as we wanted. So all these kind of pieces were playing out. And my husband actually got a great job offer that we're happy for him to work remotely, which meant that we were able to move. And so we made the decision to move as soon as the borders were going to be open. And I think we had to wait something like 4 months or something for that to actually happen. It was such a crazy time. But once I knew that we were moving back, I kind of knew that, like, I'd left my job in a full-time face-to-face capacity. I didn't think there would be much of an appetite for it to be full-time remote. And I didn't feel like it was really fair on my employer to go back knowing that I was just going to wait to jump ship as soon as I could. I just didn't feel authentic, and it probably, in hindsight, wasn't the most like financially responsible thing. But I will say that my husband having this great job opportunity allowed me the time and space to actually get this business up and running. And I know that's not the case for everyone. So I'm super grateful, but I wanted to bring that up because that was my reality. That was how it was. So he quit, and I think within 48 hours, I quit too.
Wow.
We both left this company that I'd been at this company for 13 and a half years, and he'd been there for over 17 at that point. So between us, we had like 30 years of experience at this company, and we were both like, see ya.
Wow. Crazy.
We've learned so much and grown, so much, but it was so scary for both of us to leave. But yeah, definitely no regrets. But at the time, all that fear was definitely playing out.
So what would your advice be to women who are also, have those fears and doubts? What would you say? And also, because of course not everybody is in your situation, that they can that they have maybe support from a husband or something. So what would your advice be to women who do need to pay the bills and but who are unhappy and who want to make a change, but they fear making a change?
So whether you have like a financial runway or, a savings account, or you're getting to the point where you're earning enough in your business, there's going to be a point where you have to jump. And it's going to be scary regardless of what you have in place. So you're going to have to jump. That's literally the only way to do this. And it is scary. And you should talk with someone about it, maybe a friend, a partner, a coach, whoever. But it's going to get to the point where you have to make that leap, and the only way you can do it is to jump.
And what about, what would your advice be to women who feel like, okay, I will, but I'm just scared that it's too late. Maybe I'm too old to change. What is your look on that? Like when people think that maybe they should have made that choice many years ago to change their career.
So that's your mindset just playing with you. Like your subconscious is always controlling you, and it's always trying to keep you safe. It doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't care if you're fulfilled. It just wants you to be safe. And right now, safety is your job, that it knows, that's secure. So it wants to push you to that. So it will give you all the excuses, all the reasons why you shouldn't, to keep you safe, but it also keeps you stuck. So I think that if you are having those thoughts of like, I'm too old, find an example of someone who's as old as you or older, and has changed their life in some way. Like, you will be able to find examples of how this is possible for you if you look for it. But if you believe it's not possible, then it isn't. One of my favorite sayings is like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right.
Yeah, it's so
And
true.
that's just the power of the mind. Yeah.
There's also some examples now, I can't, of famous actors, famous writers, of all those things. It also that at much older ages, in their 40s or 50s, they became famous, or they launched a book or things like that. So that also just shows, that it's all possible.
Totally.
Yeah. And what would your biggest mindset tips be for women who struggle with their mindset? How can they make their mindset stronger or think differently?
Mindset is such a big thing, and it really does control your life. So in order to have control of your mindset, you really need to be attuned into yourself and reduce the overwhelm. That's like the first thing. If you are feeling overwhelmed in life, whether that's externally, all the things going on around you, or internally, then there's no space to work on the mindset. So like reducing the overwhelm, that's like tip number one. Apart from that, like taking back control, I feel like if you believe that you are just like a victim, or life happens to you, then you never start to make those shifts and those changes, because you believe that you're not in control. So like taking back control is a huge one. But yeah, there's I could go
so much
on and on and on and on about mindset. I love it, but it is so complex.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think with mindset, sorry.
No, you're right. Something that comes to mind though, like, is like the power of the mind, right? So like our reticular activating system, the RAS, what you focus on expands. And so like it's just all about like focusing on the positive, focusing on the goal, focusing on what you want, and then going after it in that way. But we're conditioned kind of in our society to like focus on the fear, focus on the negativity, like it's given to us in the news every single day. So like breaking free from that's essentially the first step.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, for me also, my tips really would be, it's the same as like going to the gym. You can't just go to the gym a couple of times, work on your muscles, and then be like, okay, now I don't have to work out for the rest of the year anymore. No, it's something that you work on every single day. And, if I feel like my mindset is getting a bit wonky, I start listening to podcasts again, read inspirational books. I also love like inspirational quotes. Like all those things, like have them ready on your phone, have them, or maybe on your desktop or something, like just to remind you of these little things, like, oh yes. Yeah, it's just something that you have to keep on reminding yourself, I also love listening to like interesting documentaries or something like impact theory. I don't know if you know it, but it's, and it's just like, yeah, sometimes you have to hear it again.
And even like just listening to like autobiographies of like famous people or inspirational people, you'll see that all of them have had struggles with mindset at some point. And it's just that knowing that you're not alone, but like they've moved through it in this way. Like there's so much you can learn from people's life stories. So that's another one I love as well.
Very true. And maybe this is a bit of funny question, but the thing is that there are actually so the question is, why do you think it's important to really be happy in your career business? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I've heard so often women say, well, work is just work, and it shouldn't maybe it shouldn't be fun. Maybe I should just be happy that I have a job in the first place. And they just live from weekend to weekend, from holiday to holiday. And, as long as they are doing fun things in the weekend, and they have fun at the holidays, and they're fun with their friends, then it's okay. But why do you think it's also so important to be happy during the week in your job, in your day job, or in your own business?
Oh, yeah, this breaks my heart. It's because like we have one precious life. Like, this is it. This isn't a dress rehearsal. You don't get to try again. Like, this is it. And so if you're not happy most of the time, like, what is the point? And I think as a mum too, it's like, would you want your child to be fulfilled in their job one day? Would you want them to be happy? Like, want that for yourself and know that it's possible. I think that's the other thing. We just believe it's not possible, so we don't even entertain the idea. So we just like shut it down. We're like, it is what it is. But it is so possible to be happy in your job and your career, and you deserve it. So you should.
Yeah, and you just really need to take the time to figure out who you are behind all the masks and all the conditions. This is what I've also been saying a lot, is that a lot of us are living our lives according to what we think other people expect from us in order to be liked, accepted, and fit in. So we might do a certain job because, say, your dad was a lawyer and now he told you to study law, and now you're also a lawyer and you want to make your parents proud, but maybe secretly you're like, I don't even want to do this. But there are a lot of people that are staying in this job because to make their parents proud, or because all their friends are also doing something similar and they want to belong to the group. They want to be liked, accepted, and fit in. And some people are not even consciously aware that they are in this. It's sort of like a prison, like you don't even see it anymore, that you're doing something that's really not even fulfilling you, not giving you energy. But therefore, it's so important to see who are you behind that persona that you've created for yourself, for the outside world to be liked, accepted, and fit in. Who are you behind that, and what are really your true passions, and what really makes you happy? And yes, you can study something new, you can start over, and you can do something with your passion or that's more purposeful and that really brings you joy. Work doesn't have to be horrible.
Totally.
And then, I think a lot of women listening are moms as well. And what kind of tips or advice would you give them, for work-life balance? Because I think these days, the amount of stories you hear about burnouts and working too much, I definitely also think it has to do with boundaries. I'm just curious on your thoughts, like what advice you would give to the listeners who feel, that they don't have work-life balance, that they don't have time for themselves because they're just busy either with work or with the kids.
Yeah, totally. Work-life balance is a huge one, and something that I love to work with my clients on is like finding like that personal and professional harmony. I think the word balance has been like so used, and it's like it means to have all things in equal parts. And that's just not possible as a mum. It's not possible for most people to have that like equal, work and life, home life, whatever that looks like. So I think that harmony is a much nicer word to use, because when you think of like a symphony or a harmony, some notes are higher, some are lower, some are bigger, some are smaller, and they all interchange and work together as they need to. So when I think of that, I think of like, sometimes your home life takes more and it's louder, but that's okay. And then sometimes work takes more. And I think being comfortable with that flow and that flex is what's important. So what I like to teach my clients is, all about boundaries, because you are the one in control of your life, even when it doesn't feel like it. So setting boundaries that are like beautiful and feel good, that opens up your life. I actually have a free resource I can share with your listeners. If they're happy to sign up to my email list, I'll send them my free 5-step guide to how to set boundaries like a boss. Super simple, and can get you started on setting those boundaries and then holding them. I think holding them is the hardest part as well. We can set them, and then someone will start to push them, test them, or completely break them, and we just don't want that conflict, so we just like turn away, and then we keep doing things that we hate doing. So holding your boundaries is a huge way to have that harmony.
I think it's also got to do with owning your word, like you keep your word to yourself. I'm going to stick to my boundaries. Then keep to your word as well. Like you say, make this promise to yourself. So keep this promise so that you can trust yourself.
Totally. And I think too, having like a firm but flexible calendar is really important. As mums, we know things pop up unexpectedly, but if you're firm with your calendar at the start and you block out everything you need to do, then when shit hits the fan, as it so does, you can be flexible in that moment and not feel like your whole life has been derailed. So firm but flexible is a good motto to live by as well.
Yeah, that's a good tip. And then, yeah, what would be your last piece of advice to women listening to this podcast thinking, you know what, I actually am really not happy in my career. I know that I can do something else, but I just don't know what. And I don't know where to start, you know, I feel like just lost and stuck. What kind of advice would you give these women?
Well, first of all, if you're having those thoughts, like that little feeling inside you, something saying, like nudging, like there's something more, there's something else for you. First of all, like good on you for listening to that. Like acknowledge it. It's here. It's never going away now, girl. So you've got to listen to it. And it's hard at first. But you need to self-reflect. You need to, like you said before, Kristy, you need to deeply, truly understand yourself and what you want in order to create a life that you want to live. So a good thing to do to find your like passion and purpose is, what are your values? What do you value? What's important to you? And what are your skills? And then how can you combine those two things to deliver a service or a product or something to someone to change their life? And I think if you are able to do that, thinking yourself and that workshopping yourself, that's great. But otherwise, a tool like the talent scan sounds absolutely perfect for that, for uncovering that and working through it with a professional to like get you, you know, years ahead really quickly. So if you're starting to have those niggles, I would definitely suggest you look into something like that.
I love your part about the values as well. For me, that was a real eye-opener when I looked at my own values and I knew that I really wanted freedom and I wanted to adventure. And you know, now that I can get to travel, you know, I'm living that adventure and having my own business, I have that freedom. And, you know, another value is really personal development. I always want to grow, learn new things, develop myself, but not only me, but also help others to do the same. So I feel like once you find out what your values are, that gives a really, really also good indication of, you know, what you want to do in your life.
Can help you steer you for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's it for now. I want to thank all the listeners for listening to the end of my podcast. And if you enjoyed listening to it, then I would like to ask you to please rate it so that I can get higher on the ranking. And if you feel like anybody else could benefit listening to this podcast, then please send it through to them. Thank you, and till next time.